you are very much allowed to change. What you wanted, for example, what you wanted 2 years ago might not be what you want anymore today. You don't owe anyone to stay the same. You learn to be a lot more humble and to really have a good attitude towards life in general. Your mindset changes when you allow change to happen in your life. Change is inevitable, and you get to decide whether you are going to welcome it or block it. Hi community, welcome back to A Cup Full. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. I hope you're doing good. I hope you are taking good care of yourself. If you happen to hear any sounds, it's because my fan is on and my window likes to misbehave as well. So if there's any squeaking, it is because the window wanted a little bit of a feature in today's episodes. So in this week's episode, I really wanted to talk about the fact that you're allowed to change if you want to. And you probably are going to, because we are not meant to stay the same. We are supposed to grow up, outgrow certain things, move on from certain things, and it's very obvious that we're just not going to stay the same people. You aren't going to be the same person after you've gone through certain things, after you've decided that you want to do better or you want to do something different to what you've always been doing. So please let this be a reminder that you are very much allowed to change. What you wanted, for example, what you wanted 2 years ago might not be what you want anymore today. And that's completely okay. And I'm not saying be indecisive, but I'm saying let change happen. When you are going to choose to move away from a certain thing, stick to that. Obviously, don't be in limbo. Choose to stick to what you are saying you want to do. So please, welcome change, embrace change. Don't be afraid of it. I know sometimes it can be scary to see yourself become somebody completely different in the best way possible. It's obviously scary as well when you've realized that you have changed, but not in the best of ways. But it can be very uncomfortable and difficult to see yourself transform. And those are the moments, those are the periods of times where we need to really embrace that and allow it to happen. When you don't let change happen, you truly are standing in your own way, in the way of your peace, of your happiness, of your growth. So please embrace change as much as you possibly can. We aren't supposed to stay the same. We are not supposed to want to be in the same places for the rest of our lives. There are certain things that are going to be in our lives forever, of course, 100%, but I believe that God has made us to constantly change and adapt and adjust to different times in our lives, different periods in our lives. So please welcome it, open your heart to it. Just try and hold on even during the discomfort and sometimes confusion, because I have been through that confusion and that can be very ugly. It can be quite a hard pill to swallow. So yeah, I just wanted to remind you that firstly, you don't have to stay the same and you shouldn't. Like I said, we are not meant to stay the same people, to have the same thoughts, have the same ideas, have the same social and political stances. You're allowed to decide that I am actually realizing that I'm not into left-wing politics, I'm more into right-wing politics. You're allowed to decide that I don't want to dress a certain way anymore. If you perhaps used to dress in a way that was a lot more revealing, you're allowed to decide that you want to dress more modestly. You're allowed to decide that you don't want to wear frontals anymore, that you don't want to have anything in your hair anymore. You just want to wear your natural hair out. You're allowed to decide that you don't want to conform to modern day beauty standards, or that you are not looking to enhance your face in any way. So maybe you used to wear makeup a lot, and then you decide that I don't want to wear makeup anymore. I don't want to get my lashes done anymore. I'm not looking to do fillers. I'm not looking to change anything about myself. I want to be completely natural and step into that. That is okay. You are allowed to. And anyone that is going to crucify you for it or try and hold it against you, you used to dress so promiscuously. You used to be so promiscuous. You used to... Listen, don't listen to that. You have decided, you have seen, maybe you've been convicted by God that you need to take a different route in your life and you need to make different choices. And so that's exactly what you are doing. And don't let what you used to do or who you used to be or what you used to like stand in the way of you choosing to move in a different direction. Sometimes it's also just time. Sometimes it is also just the time to outgrow certain things, to really grow up. You are not going to be the same way that you are now as maybe, for example, if you're 21 or 22, you're not going to be like that when you are married and you have children. There is just going to be, it's something completely different is going to be required of you. So it's good to get started now and prepare for it now, but most importantly, it's just good to understand that we need to change because we are going to need to show up in different capacities at different times in our lives. So yeah, you don't have to stay the same, and you shouldn't. You should definitely change and become exactly who you need to become in preparation for the next part of your life, the next season, the next chapter. The second thing is that you don't owe anyone to stay the same. Somebody mentioned this in a podcast that I was listening to recently, and she was saying that people are often afraid of changing because they are worried that they're going to lose certain people, which is also inevitable. When you choose differently and you can feel that you are outgrowing certain things, you are going to have to leave some people behind, because 9 times out of 10 we are not all growing at the same rate. We aren't all discovering things at the same time. We are not getting the same convictions from God. So you are going to need to move on and not look back. For example, if you decide that you are going to go on a sobriety journey and a lot of the people that you used to hang out with were people that consumed alcohol heavily, or you were only friends with them because you were being connected by this same interest, this same desire to party and drink, you're going to have to distance yourself from those people, especially if they're not going to understand that that's really not the lifestyle that you're trying to subscribe to anymore. For real, that's just the reality of it. We need to make sure that we are in the right environments to grow and thrive. And if you are not drinking anymore, you need to remove yourself from an environment where the people you used to be connected with are constantly drinking. They are, I want to say, sort of idolizing or prioritizing the drinking and the partying. So you're going to lose people, and it's true. It can be very scary to think about, oh, if I'm going to change this and I'm going to switch this up, I'm going to lose these people, and I genuinely do care about them, and I genuinely do feel so connected to them. So that can be really scary. It can be really difficult, but you really do gotta love yourself the most. You have to put yourself first. And if a change must happen, then it must. Don't stand in the way of change happening. Number 3 is that when your circumstances change, you are most definitely going to have to change. There are just times in our lives, I mentioned it, I made the example with when you become a wife and a mother. For the girls that want to have children and that want to have a husband, like that want to have a family, you are not going to show up in the same way that you do right now in that environment. So let's say, for example, you're 23 years old and you're 24 or you're 25 and you are completely single and you've got a nice job, you're set up quite good, and you just have the freedom to come and go as you want to. You don't have to ask anyone, you don't have to let anyone know. Obviously, for safety's sake, you're probably texting your mom or your dad or your friends just to let them know that I'm at this place. You know, the thing we got to do where we send the Uber code, Uber trip link. But otherwise, you have the freedom to come and go as you want. You're able to go out at any time that you want to go out at. This doesn't even have to be going out to party or drink. You could leave the house at 8 unplanned to go and have dinner on your own. And then you could decide that you're only going to be back at, 10 o'clock? You're going to spend the night out, you'll go have dinner, and then you'll go watch a movie. You know, you just have the freedom to do whatever you want, whenever you want to. But when you become a wife and when you become a mother, those circumstances are going to cause you to not be able to do that anymore. You can't really come and go as it pleases you. You have your children to think of, you have your husband to think of. You can't be spending money how it pleases you. You are now in a partnership with somebody else and you guys have responsibilities. And so you are going to need to change. You can't keep behaving like you are still single and you have the space all to yourself and there's no one in your life that depends on you. So, for example, something like that. So we've got to change. We can't stay the same. It doesn't make any sense. Let it happen. Grow up. Number 4 is it definitely gives you an opportunity to move from a place of lack to abundance. There are many instances in life that are going to be a place of lack. And when you allow change to happen, you will be moving into more of abundance. Anytime we give space for change to take place in our lives, we're welcoming abundance. An abundance of opportunities to grow, to become better human beings, just an abundance of peace and happiness and relief, because change does come with quite a lot of relief eventually. At some point, it's very shaky. You're just like, what is going on here? I don't know what is up over here, but it's confusing me and it's putting me through the most. But overall, I highly recommend allowing change to happen. I have experienced so much change in my 20s. So much change. I am 28 years old this year. I'm turning 29 at the end of the year. And when I tell you that looking back, if I had stood in my own way and held on to certain things and not given change a chance to happen, I definitely would not be here. I would not be here. I think I would still be operating from a place of fear. I would still be operating from a place of extreme lack. I would still be operating from a place of feeling unworthy. So let it happen. Let the change happen and let it surprise you. Number 5 is definitely you move from a place of fear to being a lot more courageous. And this happens because the more you let change happen, the more you sort of become accustomed to it. You become really used to it and you are more open to it. So the more times it happens and the more times you need to allow it to happen, the more you get used to it and the more you build up this courage to just keep moving forward. Even though what lies ahead is unknown, because I've found that a lot of the times when I've decided that this change must happen, I don't really know what's going to happen. I don't really know what's up. So I'm just moving. I have been moving with courage, and obviously since getting closer to God, with a lot of faith as well. Number 6, it also takes you from a place of doing things because everyone else is doing them to being able to discern what is good for you and what isn't good for you, like what is right for you and what isn't right for you, what's meant for you and what isn't meant for you. And that's just something that naturally comes with allowing change. It's just the ability to discern and to understand that just because of somebody else is doing it or just because someone else has it, it doesn't mean that it's for you as well. And it gives you the peace that you need, and it gives you that certainty that you need, that you're fine where you are with what you have. Yeah, so you're also very much allowed to outgrow certain patterns of behavior, certain interests, certain people, certain places. I mentioned this just a little bit ago, that you do not have to stay the same, and you really don't owe it to anyone to stay the same. And in environments such as having your own family, obviously who you were at 24 or 25 is definitely not who you're going to be at 33 years old, at 35 years old, at 38 years old. Life and giving a chance to change also gives you, going through life with a mindset of desiring change or being hungry for change will also give you an opportunity to mature. You really do grow up. You learn to take things less personally. For example, these are my own personal experiences. You learn to let go of pettiness. You learn to be a lot more humble and to really have a good attitude towards life in general. Your mindset changes when you allow change to happen in your life. You give yourself an opportunity to experience more of life when you really, really give it a chance. And we are not supposed to stay the same. I'll say it again. We are just not meant to stay the same. We aren't meant to behave a certain way for the rest of our lives. You can't be 30 years old and still be behaving like you're 25 or like you're 21. I'm telling you right now, I have changed so much between being 25 years old and 28 years old. And I'm talking about wisdom, I'm talking about knowledge, I'm talking about mindset, I'm talking about my overall attitude towards life. I'm talking about having been able to open my heart and notice the small things in life that I was not taking notice of before, in different places at different ages. So yeah, and I very much look forward to growing older because, as my friend Bogang said in the episode that I recorded with her last year, you should absolutely check that out if you haven't yet. I forgot what the title is, but she said that she's excited to grow older because she knows that the older she gets, the wiser she becomes. So she's really looking forward to meeting the other versions of her. And when I heard her say that, that wasn't verbatim, by the way, but that's pretty much what she was saying. When she said that, I was like, what a way to look at it. What a way to see things, and to not be afraid to get older, to not be afraid to experience yourself at a different time in the future, different ages, older. You know what I mean? So I'm definitely just as much looking forward to getting older, because if I am learning so much and becoming so much more mature at 28, What about at 29? What about at 30, at 32, at 35? I am absolutely looking forward to learning more, to knowing more, and to just growing some more, because I don't think that ever stops either. We just have opportunities on the daily actually to grow, and that's exciting for me. That's always exciting. We should all be teachable. We should definitely all be teachable. That's another thing that giving change a chance will teach you, that you really don't know everything, and if you want to live a good life, a successful life, you have to be open to learning and to being taught by other people, and don't discriminate don't be discriminatory against who is going to be teaching you. Could be someone younger, could be someone a lot older, it could be someone that is the exact same age. Just open your mind, open your heart. Change is inevitable, and you get to decide whether you are going to welcome it or block it, whether you are going to move forward with your life or stay in the same place that is holding you back from living the life that God intends for you to live. It will probably be uncomfortable and even foreign for a good while, especially during the unraveling, but it gets better, because change can be, especially the big changes, they can be really, really uncomfortable. But you eventually begin to get comfortable with your new reality, with this new you, or the transformed you, and this version of you that stops looking back at some point. You just stop looking back. You stop missing who you were, the things you used to participate in, and even the company you used to keep. It all eventually becomes the past, and you want that to stay as exactly that, the past. I have changed so much over the last 6 months. So much that I cannot even recognize or relate to the person I was before. I'm not even being dramatic. I'm really, really not. And at first, I don't even want to lie. I would have moments where I absolutely missed who I was and the lifestyle, mindset, and attitude I had adopted and was living by. I would find myself wanting to call or text certain people, or to go out to groove, or to have a drink or a spliff of weed. Yes, I used to get high on that Zaza. I would consume certain content on social media that would remind me of certain things to kind of feel close to them. I don't know, but overall it was just so challenging and awkward and really uncomfortable. And to be honest, I would rather go through that roller coaster of challenges and isolation again, if that means I get to grow close to God the way I have. Because if there's one thing that's happened, is that I have definitely, out of everything that I've experienced over the last almost 7 months now, because we are almost at the end of, I'm recording almost at the end of February, so it's almost 7 months now. It's been a very big transitionary period for me. I have seen many ups, and I've seen many downs. But the best thing about it all is that I have found God, and I have come to understand God better, and I have strengthened my relationship and continue to strengthen my relationship with God. And yeah, that has been the big change that has happened in my life very recently, in that my life it was a complete 360. Is it 180? Is it 360? I don't know. Maybe it was 180, maybe it was 360. At this point, it was a full 1000. I'm not even sure that exists. But my life took a very sharp turn, and things started to fall apart very quickly. And I'm not even going to get too much into detail about it, but I was very lost. I was incredibly lost and heartbroken and just deep in the depths of despair, and I did not know how I was going to get out of it. But we already know what it is. God got me out of it. God took me out of one of the darkest periods in my life, and out of the concrete, it wasn't even the concrete, out of the fire, felt like an inferno, out of the fire grew a beautiful flower. There has been so much change, and sometimes I was standing in the way of it. I'm going to be very honest, which was a disaster, which is why I don't recommend standing in the way of change happening. Not only do you stay in the same place, but you are kind of detonating bombs in your own life, and you find yourself in a ton of chaos. So please just let the change happen. But yes, if I had to choose to stay in the same place as I was about 7 months ago, or to go through the chaos of the change, I will always choose going through the chaos of the change, because the person that I have come out as on the other side of all of this, she's shocking me. I'm shocked. I like her. Like, okay, I don't just like her. I absolutely adore her. I love her. And I am so grateful that there has literally been a rebirth of me. And I get to look at that every day and see myself become better and stronger and more enlightened, and just I'm able to see so many more blessings. I have become a lot more grateful than I ever was, than I ever have been in my whole entire life. And yes, although my 20s have not gotten easier, because the older you get, the more challenging life becomes. And I will also say that the more mature you become spiritually, the more mature you become in Christ, the more you will be in situations that are going to test, for example, your fruits of the Spirit. So if you're not familiar with what fruits of the Spirit are, they include love and kindness and long-suffering and patience and compassion. And you can find all of that in the book of Galatians, chapter 5, if you are interested, verses 22 to 26. But yes, I am finding that as I'm experiencing both of those things, maturing in age and maturing spiritually, things are not getting easier. But because I have more knowledge and I have more understanding and I got God, I am able to handle those things a lot better, with a lot more maturity, with a lot more wisdom, with a much better perspective, a much better head on my shoulders, for lack of a better phrase. So yes, I absolutely recommend change. I absolutely say do not stay the same. Grow. Allow yourself to grow. Allow yourself to outgrow certain things. Don't still be 30 doing the things you were doing when you were 22 years old that were not benefiting you, that were not adding to you, pouring into you in any way. When we are young, we are very impressionable. When we are young, we are not so wise. When we are young, we just desire without thinking about the implications, without thinking about whether it is in alignment with who we are or not, without thinking about whether it has anything to do with our values or principles. And I think it's getting worse in the time and age that we live in, especially with social media. If it isn't a trend, then it's a young person going viral and getting successful from that going viral. And it's just, there's just so much pressure, and there's just so much to envy. And when you are young, you will fall into the trap. It's possible, it's very likely, especially if you're not careful, you'll fall into the trap of being so envious that you end up going after the things that are meant for other people. We aren't all meant to go viral on social media. We aren't all meant to get rich off of social media. We aren't all meant to get rich from marrying well. While it may be somebody else's story, it might not be yours. And I'm not saying that your life won't be successful. but it will probably be successful and you'll have to go on a different path. You will probably be successful and it will look different. So yes, just be mindful, especially if you're in your earlier 20s. Be mindful and give yourself an opportunity to change if you are a lot older and you're no longer in your earlier 20s. Let the changes happen. Become a different person in the best way possible. Yes, thank you. I've said my piece. This is definitely where we are ending this week's episode. Thank you so much for joining me. Oh my goodness. I will never get tired of telling everyone how much I appreciate it. I will definitely be telling you how much I appreciate you being here at the beginning of every episode and at the end of every episode, because I'm genuinely so grateful for the constant support. If you are looking to put anyone on, please tell them to head on over to TikTok if they just want to test the waters, and also to follow the page if they're feeling generosity. I hope you're also feeling generosity. If you haven't yet, please go follow the A Cupful TikTok page. It is at A Cupful Pod. Otherwise, if you are going to encourage whoever you're going to encourage to just head over to listening platforms, please let them know that A Cupful is everywhere. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Castbox, everywhere. Just hit that search button. You can also send the link. You also just send the link. If you have the link, send it to whoever you think would appreciate listening to the podcast overall, listening to this episode, but listening to all of the other episodes that are available. Thank you again. Thank you so much. Have a lovely remainder of this week. Rest when you need to, work when you need to, take good care of yourself. Be kind to yourself, be kind to other people. If you are in a season, a place, a chapter of change, embrace it, let it happen, go through it, even in the confusion, even in the frustration, all of it. Just embrace it. Try your best. And most importantly, don't forget to keep doing the things that fill your cup.